People always ask what it felt like to be rescued. They imagine helicopters, shouting voices, floodlights cutting through trees. They imagine relief arriving all at once, like a switch being flipped. I usually tell them what they want to hear. That I cried, that I collapsed, that I felt safe again. That part is easy to lie about. What I never say out loud is that I don't actually remember being rescued. I remember the search. I remember the waiting. I remember people calling my name. I remember surviving. But the rescue itself? That part doesn't exist the way it should. The official story says I was missing for 9 days in the northern section of the state forest near the quarry road. They say I wandered off during a weekend camping trip, got disoriented, and managed to stay alive until a volunteer search team located me near a dry creek bed. That version sounds clean, reasonable. It fits on paper. The version I remember does not. The trip wasn't supposed to be complicated. 3 of us drove out after work on a Friday. Me, my co-worker Aaron, and his cousin Leah. They'd camped there before. I hadn't, but it didn't look dangerous. Trails were marked. Cell service was weak, but not non-existent. The first night went fine. We ate badly cooked food and talked about nothing important. Around midnight, Leah mentioned hearing something moving near the tents. Probably a deer, probably raccoons. We laughed it off. Sometime before dawn, I woke up alone. Aaron's tent was still zipped. Leah's was gone. Not collapsed, not torn. Gone. Stakes pulled cleanly from the soil like someone had taken time with it. I shouted their names until my throat hurt. No answer. No reply from the woods, except birds starting their morning noise. I did the dumb thing. I walked away from camp. I followed what I thought were their tracks downhill. The forest didn't look the same after a few minutes. The trail markers vanished. My phone showed no signal. When I turned back, I couldn't find the clearing again. By afternoon, I knew I was lost. That's when the sound started. Not animals, not quite voices, just movement that felt deliberate. Branches snapping in patterns. Something pacing me, but never close enough to see. I didn't panic right away. I rationed water. I marked trees. I stayed visible. The first night alone was cold, but manageable. The second night, I heard my name. It sounded like Leah. Same tone, same short breath before the vowel. She called once, then stopped. I didn't answer. By day 3, I found the creek bed. It was mostly dry, but had pockets of water that tasted metallic. I drank anyway. My head hurt constantly. My thoughts came slower. That afternoon, I heard helicopters. I ran until my legs gave out. I screamed until my voice broke. The sound passed overhead and faded. I remember thinking I must have missed it by seconds. That night, someone came close. I couldn't see them, but I could smell cigarette smoke. Old, stale, the kind that sticks to clothes. Footsteps circled my hiding place without rushing. Whoever it was didn't speak. They just breathed, heavy and patient. I stayed still until morning. On day 5, I found a road. Cracked asphalt, half buried in leaves. It didn't show up on my map. It wasn't on the ranger brochure, but it was real enough under my hands. I followed it for hours until I saw a man standing near a rusted truck. He looked wrong in small ways. Clothes that didn't match the weather. Boots worn down unevenly. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't ask my name. He just said, "You're not supposed to be back here." I told him I was lost. I told him people were looking for me. He stared at me for a long time, then said, "They don't come this far." When I asked who they were, he turned and walked away. I didn't follow. That night, it rained hard enough to wash away every marker I'd made. My food ran out the next morning. I remember chewing on pine needles and thinking about nothing at all. On day 7, I heard voices again. Multiple this time. Men and women. Organized. Calling my name correctly. I stepped into the open and waved both arms. No one came. The voices stayed distant. Always just out of sight. They never grew louder no matter how much I moved. I started to notice something else then. Every time I slept, I woke up in the same place. Same trees. Same bent branch to my left. Same stone near my foot. No matter where I went during the day, night always returned me there. By day 9, I couldn't walk straight. That's when I saw the uniforms. Two people in bright jackets moving between trees. Reflective stripes. Radios crackling. I screamed and stumbled toward them. They didn't react. They walked past me without looking. I reached out, and my hand went straight through one of them like smoke breaking apart. I don't remember falling. I remember darkness pressing in from all sides. I woke up in a hospital bed. That part is documented. For lines. White walls. A nurse calling my name. They said I was found unconscious near the creek bed by a volunteer searcher named Mark. They said Aaron and Leah were never located. They told me how lucky I was. I stayed in the hospital for 4 days. No visitors. No police questions beyond basic ones. No one showed me photos of the rescue team. No one introduced me to Mark. When I asked to speak to him, they said he'd already left. At home, things didn't settle. My phone history showed calls I didn't remember making. Voicemails left on my own number. Just breathing. Once a faint sound of leaves. I started seeing the man with the cigarette smell at places he shouldn't be. Standing across the street. Sitting in parked cars. Never approaching. I tried to go back to work. Co-workers said I looked thinner than I should have. Not starved. Hollowed. One afternoon, I searched my own name online. There were articles. Missing person bulletins. Updates. Then nothing. No found alive headline. No resolution. Just silence after day 8. I contacted the county office. They confirmed the case was still technically open. When I said I was the missing person, there was a long pause on the line. They asked for my date of birth twice, and they said they'd call me back. They never did. The final confirmation came months later. I drove back to the forest. I shouldn't have. I knew that. But the pull was constant like gravity. The quarry road was blocked with new fencing. Warning signs. No mention of missing persons. I walked anyway. The creek bed was exactly where I remembered it. So was the clearing. In the center was a small wooden marker, half-rotted, with a number carved into it. Not a name, a number. I turned around and saw the man with the cigarette standing behind me. He looked older up close. Eyes sunken, skin gray. "You lasted longer than most," he said. I asked him why I was still here. He shrugged. "You never left." I told him I was rescued. He shook his head. They stopped searching after 8 days. I felt something shift in, like a weight finally settling into place. All the sounds, all the voices, the looping nights, the uniforms that weren't solid. I wasn't remembering the rescue because it never happened. I survived long enough to believe I had. The forest didn't need me to die. It just needed me to stay. I don't tell people this version. I let them keep the clean ending. But sometimes, late at night, I smell cigarette smoke. And sometimes, when I wake up, there's dirt under my fingernails. And I know exactly where I am.